button. I did it already.
Okay, did you click it?
Yes, sir. I clicked on it.
All right. Okay. Cool. We should be ready to go in then, my brother.
Yes, sir. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ready
So how you
when you
doing,
ready.
brother? We live.
I'm doing fine, brother.
No, we live. We live right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's
I'm
good,
fine.
man. That's good. So first, we're gonna get everybody to like, subscribe. King's Honesty, y'all. We just, FBA is just chopping it up. We're gonna throw this up here real quick, so y'all to like and subscribe. We are gonna put some other music on. We want to say cheers to the family, and we are. We got some stuff we really want to discuss. And Brother D, we got to discuss some stuff. And I was watching Osage Jackson yesterday.
Yes, sir, we do.
And he was bringing up some real interesting point. He was bringing up some real interesting stuff that I really knew about, but never really thought about. You know how that goes, right?
Yes.
And you know how you can know about something because it happened to you.
Yes, sir, it did.
And your queen down in Ghana.
That's correct. That's correct.
Hebrew Israelites. So what we talking about, family? We talking about the scammers. We talking about these scammers from Ghana, from Nigeria, all these different scammers, man, who are scamming our people, and with this doomsday buy property in Africa. Africa's gonna be the only place spared, and all of this bullshit that they running. And I hate to say this, but it's a lot of our Black women that's the ones falling for this bullshit.
That's correct. That's correct. That's facts, especially the religious ones. I hate this. Well, I'm gonna tell the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta tell the truth. You gotta keep it like it is, man, because the truth is, man, it is them falling for it. So
yeah, because they believe it.
Why you think that is?
Because they believe that religious for some from their religious background believe it's going to be America's. I mean, the world's going to come to an end. That you got to move somewhere before it's too late. That doomsday teaching, which is kind of dangerous. It remind me of the Jehovah's Witnesses when they started. They was telling people the world's going to end in 1914, and people sold their houses, their wares, and all that stuff. Kind of found out nothing happened.
But yeah, I remember that. But the Jehovah's Witnesses were wasn't the people, the upper people buying all of their stuff for dirt cheap?
Yes, sir. Yes, that's correct.
So it's almost like that Jim Jones thing when a lot of over religious people, especially Black women, again, sold all of their stuff, left their husbands, and hopped on that bus and went with him.
Yes, unfortunately, they did that same thing. A lot of women is over there in Ghana. They did that same thing, following this what they call the Hebrew Israelite tradition. A lot of them sold their wares in America and came to Ghana. They did the same thing.
But we got a lot to talk about. We ain't gonna cover it all today. That's for real. But why do you think that?
Yes, sir.
We're so susceptible to that type of to that type of scam. Why do you think that we fall for it? Why do you think that?
Well, it's a combination of two things. I got to add the other thing. Well, you got a lot of people. You got Pan-Africanism. They teach that this ain't our home. Some parents believe America's not our home. That Africa is our home, and which is is sort of a fallacy because we built this country, and they don't tell the truth that it was Black people in America before Christopher Columbus and before the Mongolian Indians.
Right. True.
So they make us think that this is not our land. So they figure that Africa is their land. So they, we already know what the history of repatriation that some of our people did when they went repatriated to Liberia. Look how that turned out.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? America is our home. United States of America. We built this country, and we also got indigenous ancestry from here, which people, the powers that be, hide from our people. I mean, of course, we had some ancestors. I know me personally. I have ancestors that came off those slave ships. You know what I'm saying? But I also have ancestors that's indigenous from here.
Correct. That's
That's
true.
not Mongolian Indian. They're black. What we call black.
That's true. That's true. I don't get the correlation. I don't get what it is that they're selling that's making it so easy. I heard what you say, the doomsday concept, but what's making it so easy for a person to take their money and send it to a person that they don't know in on a continent that's thousands and thousands of miles away from them. And a lot of times they're using Cash App, from what I understand.
Well, they're using Cash App. Some people using sending it through their bank account through Zelle. There's different ways they're doing it. Cash App is one of them, but they're also doing it through Zelle and some other things, the other apps they got that they send overseas.
But man, why, especially our women, why is it so easy for them to be scammed? The girl from what was it? Somalia scammed them almost out of 40 grand until they finally, it was one sister, Carter, Queen Accountability, called her and started investigating her. Other than that, man, I was on TikTok when that happened. And man, black women were dogging black men out. You hear me?
Yes. Well, you got to remember, they play on our women's emotions. You know what I'm saying? Women, they're more emotional than a man. We might, you know how that goes. They play on their emotions. You know what I'm saying? They make them think that, the year returned and they're giving out free land. That land is not free. That's a lie. Okay.
And
You
a lot
really
of
don't own the
times,
land. You don't own the land in Africa. You can't own land in Ghana. That's a fallacy. Okay. What
really?
they got is this thing called a denture. If I will tell you how the denture goes. A
Okay.
denture is the chief and the family owns the land, but you like building on the land, and you got to give them something. It's not free. Okay. Also, some deals you have to take care of their community. You have to take care of their schools and all that stuff. That's some of the deal, and you got to give them. Forget what's this thing, but they call it snops. You got to meet with the chief and get a chief snops. Snops is like alcohol. Some chiefs like that for a gift. It's not free. And the chief still owns the land, and his family still own the land. You just an indenture. You like the middleman. Okay, if you're a non-citizen, a denture is 55 years. If you have citizenship, a denture is 99 years.
So let me ask you this: can they take the land back whenever they want to? Because that's what I heard happened to a
Well, that
woman.
has happened. That's happened. It was these Hebrew Israelite community. They paid for the land, and they built up, and they got their land taken from them, and they was stealing stuff and everything that they built and
I
destroyed
saw
it
that.
and knocked it down.
That was in Ghana, right?
Yes, that was in Ghana.
Yeah, I saw that. It's on YouTube.
Yes, I
It's
mean you
on
got some
YouTube.
people who's telling the truth, who's exposed it. You had go back to Africa. He exposed this a while back. That not to buy no land in Africa, especially Ghana.
So you can't actually own the land in Ghana.
No, that's a fallacy. Anybody tell you that, that's a lie. That's a fallacy.
Wow. So
Only thing you have is
basically,
indentureship, what they call a denture.
so the land is broken up into certain tribes. Is that how this is working?
I mean, it has a flip. It has a flip side too. Now, if you got a chief that got integrity, who ain't gonna screw you over, yeah, you could do something with the land and benefit off of it. But you might have a chief that if you build the land, he might be using you, and then as soon as it's built, he might take it back from you and his family. It's a lot of stuff. It's like gambling. It's like you don't know what you're gonna get or who you're gonna meet, what kind of integrity they got, or do they have integrity?
Right. So it's the it's the brother down in Ghana. He just built this beachfront condos. I don't know if you've been keeping up with him, but I mean he built.
Was he a bald head? Was he a bald head brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him in Ghana. I think I met him in Ghana at an event. I seen him at an event in Ghana.
And he's building up.
And he makes his homes out of a what they call it, some type of material.
Oh no, no! This must not be him because this dude is.
Oh, I can't hear you.
He's got the beachfront property. That's probably your phone because you sound fine to me. But he's got beachfront front properties.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, like I said, it's people. Yeah, he might have lucked up and met with a good chief. It depends on people who you meet and who you're dealing with. Okay. You know, it's negative and positive everywhere. You got people that got integrity over there, and you got people that don't have integrity. Okay, there are some people who are benefiting off the land. They lucked up and met with the right person. It depends.
Okay. Okay, but as a rule, you cannot own the land in Ghana.
No, you cannot own land in Ghana.
Wow.
Only thing you can get is a denture.
So these land scammers are on, and it's probably like that in most parts of Africa. So these land scammers are scamming, and some of them are Hebrew Israelites from here, and a lot of them from Africa are scamming black people out of their money. But again,
yes, that's true. Correct.
But again, I am just lost at the fact that you would send money to somebody you don't know.
Yes, and then another thing is that a lot of black women that come over there that mainly be targets is the ones that come over by themselves. Africa is not the place for a woman to come by themselves, especially a black woman. Really? Okay, they prey on women that's single. They like to prey on them.
Okay, but okay, so how are they setting this up? Like, how are they setting this up in order for it to work? So you have to. They're telling you you can buy land. They show you the land. You in the United States of America, and you send in what, $2,500, $3,000, sometimes, because this one lady lost $7,000, and you sent it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sent it to. I forgot this something.
Without going there, what she sent it from the United States. Oh, that's the worst thing.
That's what they've been doing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what they've been doing.
That's the worst thing you could do is send some money to Africa without you being there. You got to go in person. Okay. And if you're a female, come with a male counterpart. Don't come by yourself because you're really going to be a target.
Well, we know that's true because of the unalignment of so many different FBA women down there on the continent.
Yes, that's true. And like another thing,
they're not really publicizing that and telling it that a lot of FBA women have been unalive down there. Like, it's a nice number. And then one of them had built a house. They didn't arrest the guy. He turns around and takes her assets, moves into that, keeps the house and everything else. That's insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. And you just got to be.
You got to be careful. But that they say they're going down there for freedom and all that, I don't believe that. I believe they're going down there to find a man. That they feel like they.
Some of them, a lot of cases they do. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you something else.
And control.
Yep. And then another thing, if you're a feminist, especially if you're a woman, don't come to Africa with feminism because you're gonna it ain't gonna work out well for you. I'm gonna say it like that.
Well, I think that's what's been happening. I actually think that's part of the problem. I think that they're down there with that modern day attitude, and you know, those men down there don't play that stuff with them.
No, they don't. They don't
That's a
tolerate
different.
it.
You're right. That's a different culture.
Matter of fact, in their culture, that's taboo. That's considered taboo. I can speak for Ghana and Gambia too. I know people that have been to Gambia. It's the same thing.
So they go down there with this aggressive attitude because they have some money, and they're still dating up under what they call beneath their means. And they get this young, African guy, and they think they can run him and speak to him any kind of way. And obviously they can't.
Yeah, and then that's true. Facts.
And I say that they
That's
can't
true.
because look how many have been unalived down there.
Mm-hmm.
All that aggressive, attitude and all of that stuff, you can't do that in other countries.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you another thing. If you're gonna do business in Africa, if you know an African friend the country you're trying to visit, he's from that country. If you especially if you have good friendship with one, if you can find one that wants to be a true friend, that's gonna have integrity, ain't gonna deceive you. If you can find somebody like that, you got a gold mine. You can really do something. Because sometimes that's kind of hard to find.
But even if you have a friend like that, you still have to get approval from a chief to build your house.
Yes, that's what Ghana. That's Ghana, and the chief has to get permission from the family, his family. Like there's been a lot of cases where the chief sold the land without the family's permission, and a lot of people had to go to court behind that. He sold them the land. They sold the land to the person, and he didn't get permission from the family. They built the stuff up, and they're losing their stuff in court behind that. The chief can't sell you the land without his family.
Right, but if you build a house, what's to keep the chief from saying, you were supposed to give us this and give us that, and you missed a couple of times giving it to us, so we're taking the house. Like what? Because that's
that can happen. Yes, that can happen.
The Hebrew Israelites, they came in there and tore down their restaurants.
That's facts. That's facts. And they stole all the stole all the property equipment from the building.
Right. Yeah, they stole all the property from the restaurant, and then they literally brought in. They brought in bulldozers and tore it down.
Yep, people, you can see what we're talking about. You can find this on YouTube. They showed where they had the bulldozers. They demolished the place, demolition, and they went in there and stole the guy's property.
But again, it's not registering with me. And I know it has a lot to do with religion. I know religion has have our people, especially Black women, completely, and a lot of Black men, completely under the spell, right? And so,
yes,
I just don't understand just being a practical thinking person. I consider myself a practical thinking person. I don't understand. I'm not sending somebody thousands of dollars on a continent. I don't know who these people are, especially when they have the reputation of being scammers.
True, facts. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they're programmed to listen to a pastor or some sort. And
yeah, that's true, because a lot of those pastors and go ahead.
Like Marvin Sapp wanted to raise $40,000. Well, this happens in all the churches. Where they might not be 40,000, but they asking for $1,000 lines, $500 lines, and they keep begging and begging until you get the money to them. $100 lines, $50 lines.
They just keep Plus, they also use religious scare tactics on you too to make you feel bad to give up the money.
Well,
what about that pastor that locked his church up and maybe wouldn't let the people leave unless they paid their money?
Yeah, but that's Marvin Sapp. But the thing is, I think all of this has to do
I think
with
you're
the fact
frozen. You're
that
frozen.
no, you're frozen. I sound fine, bro.
Oh,
I can
okay.
hear I can hear you
Okay.
fine. But
Yes, sir.
yeah, that's your phone be tripping. You know, your phone be tripping. But
I know it does. It does.
so, but the people that call, this is my theory. This is just my theory and my belief on the programming of our people is that if they're calling for these different lines to bring in this money, right?
Yes.
A lot of times they can use scare tactics, but it comes down to a person wanting something basically for nothing, right? So if you
That's
think
true. They're
about
correct. Correct.
if you think about the concept of wanting something, wanting more than you actually earned, that concept, right? So, you know, even though, you know, your job
Yeah.
pays $90,000 a year, you think just by who you are, you deserve $250,000 a year. Not because you
Mm-hmm.
earned it, just because you believe that you should.
Yes.
So I think they play on that. So they use terms like next week is your week. Your blessing is
Mm-hmm.
coming.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Right. So if you sow a seed of $1,000 in 2 weeks, it's gonna quadruple that. So
Mm-hmm.
so you want something, you want 5 times or 4 times the amount of your $1,000 in 2 weeks. Well, that's the same thing as a gambler when he's betting on the games. That's the same thing when you go to the casino. It's the same thing. It's the same concept,
Yes, it's the same thing. You're
right?
gambling. You're actually
You
gambling.
you gambling, except for you gambling
Mm-hmm.
on what he tells you,
Yes.
and in your mind you believe you deserve that. So if it doesn't happen,
Mm-hmm.
then he'll come back and
Another
say
advice I would tell. Another
it's not.
advice I would
It
tell
wasn't.
people.
But it
Mm-hmm.
tells you. He comes back and tells you after that when it didn't happen, it wasn't your time yet, but your time is coming. Do you see what I'm saying? And this
Yes,
is what
sir.
this is what these pastors, white and black, this is what they base their premise on to get the money from the people.
Yes, that's what they do. You think you're gonna get something for nothing. Ain't nobody gonna give you nothing for nothing. If you believe that, that's dangerous, and you're gonna get caught up in the
That's
scam.
dangerous. Right. So it's the
Yep.
same thing that the Africans are doing to the FBAs who desperately want to move, and they think that if I fork up 10,000, I can get my house built and I could be sitting on 4 acres of land.
Mm-hmm. That's what they tell them. And the sad thing about it is, you know what I mean? They jump into they leave here. You know how they heard it saying you jump into a frying pan.
Right.
That's what a lot of people are doing when they move to Africa. They jumping straight into a frying pan, leaving a better situation to a worse situation. Okay, even the Africans don't even want to stay over there. They want to come to America. They want to come to England, and people need to know that. Why would you want to go to somewhere and they don't even want to stay over there?
That's the truth. They don't even want to stay
Make
over
that,
there.
yeah,
Yeah. Remember I showed you the picture of all of it wasn't that many of them. It's probably about 6 that moved to Ghana, right? Remember I showed you the picture?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
All of the Americans had on African garments, and all of the Ghanaians had on American clothes.
That's facts. I seen that. That's true. That's true. That is facts.
Now you tell me, bro, they had on the Ghanaians, the Americans had on the African dashikis, the whole you did.
Yeah. You know the
All
irony
the
there?
Ghanaians had on American clothes, bro. The shirts and
Yeah.
the
Know the
ties.
irony of it? of
What's
it
that?
is they want to be
What's that?
us. They want to be you. They want to be you. They want to be me.
They do.
They want
They
to be
do.
in our shoes. They would like to take our place if they could.
Yeah, I was looking at this guy. I'll pull him up. He was talking about FBA's been on his they've been on his heels because they were telling him don't speak on FBA business. So
Yes.
he goes down this list of naming Skokie Carmichael and all of them and all of this, blah, 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 blah. You know, and they went to Ghana, and one of them stays in parts of Africa. And so I put on there, so what? You still talking about FBA people. We're not talking about Ghanaian leaders.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about
Yeah.
South African. The only one we was talking about was Julius over in South Africa, and I don't think he won.
Yeah, and the other guy that's in Burkina Faso, we may say something about him.
Yeah, we are right. We'll say something about him. And the reason why is because they standing up for their country. They're fighting back. But
And they're not selling their people out. And they're not selling their people out.
But do you think that South Africa would have voted Julius in? Malinga? You think they would have voted him in? No, they didn't. Somebody is standing up for the country. No, they didn't.
Because their people are conditioned and brainwashed. They've been programmed.
That's true.
They're so used to corruption that they think it's normal. That's what that is.
But the thing is, these are two people that's standing for the country and the betterment of the country. And the South Africans didn't even support him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the brother down
in
you
gotta remember, look at the history.
Think about it.
Go ahead.
That's a coup. He took over.
Yep.
If they had to vote, he would have never got in.
That's true. That's facts. You got to remember the history. Look at leaders who tried to get out of colonialism and they got betrayed. You had Nkrumah in Ghana. He got overthrown with a coup. You had Idi Amin from Uganda. He got overthrown by. He had to flee. He had to run to Saudi Arabia, and he tried to do. They was for the people. A lot of African leaders in Africa that was for the people. They got overthrown.
Well, the people never stood. Here's the problem that I have with Africans. First of all, you can't trust them. Why? Because they don't even help each other.
No, you can't.
They've done nothing to FBAs but betray us on a constant basis. Now we know who they are.
Yes, sir.
Right? So even in
look what happened to brother. Look what happened to. Go ahead.
But even in Africa, all they do is betray each other. Just like Nigeria, they just killed.
Yes, look what happened to Patrice Lumumba.
Yep. But they just killed 52 people out over there in Nigeria.
Yeah, I hear people talking about, oh, Malcolm would have lived if he would have went to Africa.
Bullshit.
You don't know. When Malcolm went to Egypt, he got poisoned in Cairo, Egypt.
They're trying to kill him.
He got poisoned in Cairo, Egypt. They'll sell you out over there.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
Who you think sold it to? Who you think poisoned them? They probably look like some people he was meeting with. You know what I'm saying? They look the same.
Well, you know, Malcolm is my cousin. So I could tell you now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From what I was hearing, his whole mentality was changing anyway.
That's true. He kept evolving and changing.
He was trying to change. You know what I'm saying? Because he saw the betrayal. Look at Marcus Garvey. Who betrayed Marcus Garvey?
Yeah. And then Marcus Garvey tried to go to Africa and he got denied.
They wouldn't even let him in there. And when he went to Jamaica, what happened? The whole revolution.
Yeah.
Because they didn't support him.
He got rejected in Jamaica. They rejected him in Jamaica.
So the only thing that jumped off his whole thing was coming to America and the Black Americans, the FBA's jumped on bandwagon with him.
That's facts. That's facts.
Then he was
We made
portrayed
Marcus Garvey.
We made Marcus Garvey, and then he was portrayed by one of the tethers.
Yes, that's true. And not only that, Marcus Garvey was influenced by Booker T. Washington. When he came up, he was trying to meet with Booker T. Washington, but Booker T. Washington had passed away.
Fact.
He was inspired by Booker T. Washington,
the
FBA. And he couldn't get it popping unless he came to our country, to an FBA country. He couldn't get it popping in Jamaica. He couldn't get it popping in Africa. He had to come here. He had to come to the States to get it popping.
And think about this with Nelson Mandela over there. The Africans were outnumbering the whites like 15-1.
Facts.
They allowed.
You know what the weird thing? You know what the irony of?
Was standing up for them to take him and lock him up.
Yeah.
They allowed that shit.
They did. You know what the irony of it is? We were outnumbered over here, and we were outnumbered over here, and we made more changes than Africa's whole existence.
That's
and they outnumbered the colonizers. That goes to show you what kind of people we are.
We from the God DNA, but yeah, we resilient. And the thing is, it's just like, and I hate to compare this stuff with the young fella, and I hate that kind of stuff where he had to defend himself.
Yes, he did
against the other young men, which is terrible that he even had to defend himself. That's started.
Yeah, I found out he was. Yeah, I found out he wasn't even all that big. He was like 130 pounds soaking wet.
Exactly. So the bottom line is, why would, number one, why would he have to defend himself when he's minding his own business, coming out the rain, sitting in the tent? It shouldn't even went that way.
Yeah, and then he had to fight two brothers.
Big brothers.
2 against 1.
Right.
So, 2 against 1. That's not fair. That's not a fair fight.
It's not a fair fight. It's self-defense. But my point is that we teach our kids to defend themselves. Over there, did you hear when the tether called in from Nigeria to Tariq Nasheed's show?
Yes, sir.
Did you see that shit?
Yeah, you're gonna tell me you shouldn't defend ourselves.
Exactly. Then when Tariq brought up the fact that 52 people were just killed over there, you know what he said? I'm not there. Go ahead. Well, I'm not over there.
Yeah, so which means he was a fleer and a coward. So they want to come over here. They want to tell us how we're supposed to do. Yeah, they want to tell us how we should do things over here, but they ain't in their own country fighting to make their country better. We stayed and fought the good fight. Okay, yeah, they have the audacity to criticize how we fought over here. We made it happen over here. Okay, our people died. Right. Okay, we had blood and sweat equity. Okay, a lot of people died to make it a little better for ourselves over here. That's why you want to come over here off our coattail after we sacrificed a lot to make it happen.
They died. They fought. They killed.
Yep.
They did everything necessary to save the next generation. And then the next generation did everything necessary to save the next generation. Let me tell you what they didn't do. They didn't flee.
No, nope. They didn't flee. We had different organizations that fought. They didn't flee. We had RAM. We had the Deacons of Defense, the Black Panther Party. We had the Nation of Islam. We had the SNCC. We had the Southern Christian Leadership headed by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We fought on all fronts. Okay, we didn't flee. Okay,
we didn't flee
like a coward.
Yeah, because that's what that is, being a coward.
Yeah,
that's what that is, being.
We stood here and fought the good fight, and we still fighting to this day. We still fighting to make it more better for us.
Yes, we are. And then you come over here and see somebody's Lamborghini and take your selfie like that's your car, but you driving Uber. which is not a bad job. But
Yeah.
stop fronting.
Yes.
Stop fronting.
Yeah. And then a lot of them come over here and say this was the thing that kills me. A lot of them come over here saying, oh, they got more education than us and all that stuff. But you drive an Uber. You drive an Uber.
Right.
Okay. Make that make sense. A lot of us we got smart. Listen, a lot of us got smart and stopped going to college and start learning a trade. Because that's where the money's at. Because just because you go to college don't mean you're gonna get a job. Or you just created a debt for yourself.
But exactly. But you know what I tell them? I say, well, they say, well, y'all just mad. I said, let me tell you something. I said, you're not on the level of FBAs.
No, they're not. They're not on the level.
I said,
and I hear these people talking about, oh, we practicing tribalism and they practicing tribalism.
No, we different. Nigeria has 8,200 millionaires, and that's not U.S. money. FBAs have 3 million millionaires and 12 billionaires.
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts.
Think about that. The richest person in the Caribbean, all of them, is Rihanna.
Yeah, that's true. That's facts.
She's almost a billionaire. She made her money with FBAs.
Yep, with FBA culture and FBA music genre.
And she's never denied that either.
Just like people talk about Afrobeats. The person who started Afrobeats, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
true.
saying. I'm saying that she got FBA babies now.
Yep.
So the whole thing is, she don't deny that. It's the idiots that's denying. Nicki Minaj made her money with FBAs.
Yeah, because she couldn't get it popping in her own country. She couldn't make that type of money in her own country.
None of them can. That's the point. None of them can. So the thing is, we are now safeguarding our culture.
That's right.
And that's why we about these scammers from Africa that's scamming FBAs and older women and all of this trifling BS that they doing. We're just trying to make them aware, black women aware of it. Stop being so gullible to every goddamn thing.
Yeah, stop being gullible.
And then
because all skin folks are not skin folks. Stop going forward because they look black like us. That don't mean anything. Okay, just like a Chinese and a Vietnamese, they're both Asians, but they do make their own distinction. Okay,
they do.
They have their own culture. Vietnamese culture is different from Chinese culture. Okay, FBA culture is different from Yoruba culture or Igbo culture or Fulani culture or Mindi culture.
Correct.
See, we got caught up in that skin color. We all skin folks are our folks. No, that's not true, brother. Sister. That's not true.
Not true. It's not true. It's absolutely not true. And this is why we're trying to tell them, cut the nonsense out. You understand what I'm saying? Like, sisters, cut the nonsense out. You start wearing your own hair. You beautiful with that.
Yes, you are. That's right.
The sun is designed to hit your hair.
Yep.
You blocking it. Cut the nonsense out. Let's be for real. You running over there to try to get a man that you can control. That's why you run into Africa.
Yep, and they're not going for it over there. You ain't gonna be able to control a man over there on the continent. They're not going. That's against their culture,
bro. They're not going for it. They're unaliving them. Even the women who are here, these Nigerians and these Africans will let a WP or WW slap them around and everything, but they'll fight a black woman in a minute.
That's facts. That's true.
Just like the Nigerian guy who the WW girl was slapping him around and all that. So finally, she stabbed him up and unalived him. You know who I'm talking about. And it took them almost 2-3 months to arrest her.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me? The young brother who went in his own apartment.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah,
And the
it
female,
was one. It was one FBA brother. He was complaining. It was.
You gotta get your phone
Oh, can you hear
fixed,
me?
brother. I can hear you. You gotta get your phone fixed. Cause your phone be going in and out. I guess because I can hear you fine. But it's just like, listen, Daniel's gonna pop back up. But let me tell you something. FBAs, we sacrifice a lot. We're gonna continue to do what we do, but we shutting the culture down. There is no compromising. We're not compromising with them anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't
You know
see.
what I'm saying? Yeah. But we're not compromising with our
Yes,
culture
sir.
anymore. We're not
Yeah.
compromising with our culture. We're just not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was one FBA. Yeah, it was one FBA brother. He was on YouTube. He was complaining. There was a sister from the continent that he was interested in, and she kept wondering why she wasn't, speaking back to him. Then she found out she was playing with the other people. You know what I'm saying? Was kissing, was laughing with him, giggling with him. So he couldn't understand why she was more friendly with the other people and not with us.
What
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of them, you know what I mean, they don't really look at us. They don't really look at us as their people. They look at us as foreigners.
Because that's really what we are.
Yes.
We are foreigners.
Yeah, we are foreigners.
You went to Ghana, they considered you a foreigner.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Only people that get treated good in Ghana if you got celebrity status. Okay? If you somebody like Stevie Wonder or something like that, yeah, they're going to act a little different. But if you're a regular person who don't have no celebrity status, you're going to get the foreign treatment.
Right. Right. So we got to, as a culture, we got to come together. Look at this, man. They've been tripping about, I'm just jumping around a little bit. They're talking about this segregation thing, and I read it, and it's not what people think it is. But we don't mind being separated.
No, it's not. It has something to do with, go ahead.
But we don't mind being separated. Let's just keep it a buck. We don't mind. Give us our land.
Yes, but it had nothing to do with segregation like people thought.
No,
what it had to do was the Democrats. Yeah, what happened was the Democrats incorporated the men could enter sports into that, and some other stuff they incorporated into that. Right. They incorporated illegal immigrants in that.
Right. Right. And so this says that you have a right to keep trans out of women's sports, out of their locker rooms, things of that nature. But here's the thing.
Yes. That's what it was talking about.
That's what it was.
But they got people believing they got people believing, he's taking us back to segregation. That's not true. That's a lie. You got to read the thing for yourself. It has nothing to do with segregation like we think.
No, it doesn't. You got to read it for yourself. But here's the problem.
First of all, he can't do that anyway because it's against the law.
It's exactly.
It's in the he can't do that. He can't go against the law.
You can't change the Constitution like that. But the thing is that we as a people make 1.3. This is what I told somebody. I said, listen, we spend $1.3 trillion a year. A year. I said, so why should we not have well-funded grammar schools?
I agree.
Think about it.
Yep.
All the grammar schools in the United States that are black and black areas should be well-funded.
Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with these tariffs that people. Go ahead.
Think about it. Think about it, though, D. If we said we're going to spend $2 billion on nothing but community schools across America, $2 billion.
Yes.
Right? That still leaves us 1.1 trillion to spend.
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't have to depend on them for school. That's just a fact. His phone's tripping, y'all. But we ain't tripping. But FBAs, think about it. We make everybody's culture rich but our own.
That's facts. That's facts.
We make the Asian culture rich.
We make them rich every day by going to their nail salons and all the other stuff we buy.
And buying the wigs and everything.
And I'm gonna be honest, I'm glad about.
Right? We spend that.
Yeah. What you think about the tariff situation?
I'm talking to get to it in a minute. But we spend.
Yes, sir.
We talking about just black women dollars, or the black men dollars who's buying this stuff for their women. So we spend all of this money with them, right? They the ones got the big wig shops and the big things where you get all of the supplies from and all of this stuff like that. Soon as a black woman wants to open up one of them, you know what they do to her? She gets a certain amount of products in it. When she starts being successful,
they rob her.
No. What they do is they stop her product line from going through. So she's expected.
They sabotage her. She does get sabotaged.
They sabotage her. Instead of us shutting them down and say, we ain't spending money with you. Right?
That's what we should be boycotting. That's what we should be boycotting.
But we're not.
We should be boycotting those. Yeah, we should be boycotting those companies that hire black people, that black directors on it. We boycotting the wrong people. The people we need to be boycotting is these people that's parasites in our neighborhood who take money out of our neighborhood. They don't do nothing for our community. They take that money and send it back to their country.
But again,
even in African hair braiding places that make money. Go ahead.
But I'm not. My whole thing is black people spend $1.3 trillion a year. This is my point. Within 48 hours, they raised millions of dollars for Kamala Harris.
I got to tell you, they spending for the wrong things. They don't spend it when it counts.
And these were
now. I am proud of my people. I am proud of FBA raising money. Go ahead.
I know for the young black kid, yes, but we raised millions for her within 48 hours. Now, this is my point.
That's true.
My point is, why not come together and say we can put together a school fund and we appoint directors of this fund to allocate this money to school, to black grammar schools in Philadelphia, black grammar schools in Chicago, black grammar schools in New York, black grammar schools in Maryland, black grammar schools in everywhere, and say we putting $2 billion in here. We putting $2 billion or $3 billion in here. We want it well funded. We want the kids to have the computers that they need. We want everything that they need to have.
They do got black-owned running schools in throughout the states. I know they got a few in Washington D.C. They got a brother in New York. I forget his name. He got a school. They out there. You got independent schools throughout the country. That's FBA run and owned.
It is, but the problem with it is there's more kids in the public schools than those schools.
That's facts. That's true. That's true.
That's the problem. True. The problem, we should be able to take them out the public school system and put them in our own system at $3 billion a year.
I agree. And then the thing about irony of it all, they're going to fund a pancake for a candidate who never did anything for our people. It's like we don't get nothing for our vote. We give our vote freely to a party who never did anything for us. Name me one policy that the Democratic Party did that was in favor of our people.
Right. But my point is, with the money we spend, we shouldn't care how they vote. We should be so focused on building up our community. Buy up all of the abandoned houses.
Yes, I agree.
Hire black construction companies to come and carpenters to come fix their houses up and start renting them out at a decent amount. All over Detroit, all over everywhere. This is my point. We're talking about $1.3 trillion a year.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what we spend. and we're not spending it
Yep.
with
And
ourselves.
we need to go back to the model of Booker T. Washington and Claude Anderson talked about it. And even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about it, the economic blueprint and message to the black man when he said we need to pull our resources together. We need to come together and pull our resources.
Claude Anderson broke it down. Dr. Claude Anderson,
he did.
I don't mean no disrespect, but
he broke it down, and even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
He's a doctor.
Yeah, he did break it down. That's facts.
And Boyce done learned that
we need to follow that blueprint.
Boyce done learned the whole game.
Go ahead.
Dr. Boyce Watkins have learned the game from Dr. Claude Anderson, brother. He passed the
Yes, he
information
did.
down
Yes, he
to
did.
Dr. Boyce Watkins, and among others. And the bottom line is, then you got people that want to mess with him. You got people that want to do this and want to do it. Listen, Dr. Umar is not somebody I really want to fuck with.
Yeah, he's proven to be to me, what am I gonna say?
Now he makes comments.
I don't see what's happening with that school. He's collecting a lot of money, and
Right. But the thing is, he makes comments that everybody like, and it's cool. It's funny. But as far as leadership, no.
No, he's not a good leader. No, he's not. He's a good talker. He's very charismatic.
But he's not a good leader. You know what I mean? He should not.
No, he's not.
You can't take that kind of stuff seriously. Does he make sense on some occasion? Absolutely. But no. Trying to bring
people, and unfortunately, you got people like FBA's. Go ahead.
But just trying to bring people together. You know what I mean? Trying to bring people together from Africa, from here, when they constantly have been betraying us. No, you can't do that. We got to concentrate on healing our own house.
Yep, we got to concentrate on ourselves. Just like I like to look at China, for example. China concentrated on Chinese people. They didn't concentrate on other Asians. Okay, they didn't concentrate on the Vietnamese. They didn't concentrate on the Indians. They concentrated on China. Okay, they know they are our own distinct ethnic group, just like we are our own distinct ethnic group.
Absolutely.
We need to come together and pull our resources and love one another and work together instead of working against each other. We'll come out good.
But
we proved that we could do that. We proved that we could do that. We raised we got on code and raised my brother for Kamala Anthony.
Absolutely. Well, we've done it before. But the thing is, we raised that for him. They for Kamala Harris, like they raised something like 80 million.
Yeah, but for a candidate a candidate said
that's not FBA.
Not only she's not FBA, she said she wasn't going to do that specifically for us, but she did something specifically for our Asian people, and she did something specifically for the LGBTQ.
That's mind blowing to me. Why sisters would not look at her and say, you know what? I'm not supporting this. I'm not supporting this. I'm not specifically going to do nothing for black people. No. All the black women should have said, oh, no, we ain't messing with you. But they didn't. They jumped on our bandwagon. I don't get it. And then now we're talking about them being scammed.
Yeah, because they
scammers. I see why. Why should black women be some of the most easiest people to scam and manipulate? Why?
Yep.
You know what I mean? They shouldn't be that easy to scam and manipulate.
They shouldn't.
But if a man comes up to him, this was crazy to me. A black woman will marry a white guy that makes way less money than her. But that's true. Because ultimately, that's the way it works. But that's not marrying.
Yeah, but a lot of it is the root of it. The root of it is.
But that's not.
Yeah, the root of it is self-hatred.
But it's not. It is, but it's not considered marrying beneath your status when you marry a white guy. African women worship white men.
Yes.
You hear me?
Yes. Well,
But
that
if
goes
you
back to
marry,
the religious institutions. What deity
but,
was they worshiping in the churches?
but if you marry a black woman who has a degree who's only making 80,000, because averagely they make about 45 to 50,000 a year with the degree.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
Yes, that's true.
marry an electrician who makes 180,000, but he don't wear suit and ties, you consider that dating beneath you. But you will go ahead and
Beneath,
marry beneath
which is
that,
backwards thinking.
backwards thinking. So but you'll go marry the white guy who make way less than you, then he divorces your ass, and then you got to pay spousal support.
Yes, that's just true.
That's happening all over the place.
Harry Berry had to pay. Harry Berry had to pay that from her divorce.
That black attorneys paying it. I did a TikTok on it. It's a whole list of them paying support. A whole list of them. If Serena ever gets divorced, who you think gonna pay?
She's gonna pay.
He worked for about 6 or 8 million. She worked 300 million. Who you think gonna pay?
Yeah. Yeah. She's gonna pay.
She's gonna pay. So but the thing is, the Africans who are scamming a lot of these black women, a lot of them.
Yeah, they're scamming everybody that go over there. What they do, they come over there, that slave Amino Castle. They get emotions when they go to that slave Amino Castle, the slave castle.
Right.
And, no, listen. They play on the emotions, get them crying about black people be tearing, crying at the Amino Castle. They play on our trauma. Then the next move is the money. That Amino Castle is not free. You got to pay for that. Why would you pay somebody to revisit some trauma, some slave trauma?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And, why would you? Why would you? But I'm talking about the women who sending money.
Yeah, so they really was concerned about that. They wouldn't be charging us. It would be free.
But I'm talking about the women who are here sending money there.
Yeah, that's wrong. You don't send no money.
They doing
that's
it like
stupid. That's stupid. I know you're talking about. Yeah, you don't send no money if you ain't in that country. You don't send no money. You don't even know what's going on that country. You don't even know the law over there, the rules. You shouldn't send no money to the country. You're not over there, personally.
Man, O'Shea Duke Jackson broke it down, bro.
A lot of them are getting scammed over there with that. They're sending money.
Hebrew Israelites are doing a lot of damage to black people.
They are. And some of them is in cahoots with the Africans to scam us out of land. To scam us with that land thing.
Well, the one in Kenya wasn't thinking that way because they were starting to throw bricks at dude when he said Jesus was black.
Yeah. Yeah, they threw bricks at him. They go to show you the mindset. Look at the mindset.
They hate the way they look. They hate the way they look.
Yeah, a lot of them got that colonizer mindset.
That's crazy though.
They're nothing but colonizers and black skin and brown skin.
That's crazy, man. But listen, we you see the little thing. we got to clean up our own house by getting them out. And so
yes, we do.
President Donald Trump is helping us because he's getting rid of a lot of them, and he's not done yet.
Yes.
But you got these stupid liberal black people complaining about him cleaning house for us.
Yeah, because they stupid, because they politically ignorant. And another thing, a lot of people don't understand about these tariffs. The tariffs is designed to bring American jobs back to the country and American industry back. That's what it's designed for.
Hey, listen.
Okay.
99% or 97% of the goods come from China. That's why he hit China, because he want America to start making the stuff now.
Yep. That's why he's doing that. That's what he's doing it for.
That's the only way it's gonna work.
Then we was finding out that we was taxing American products overseas, and we just let them sell their products over here for free.
Right.
Without the tariffs. Did you know about that, brother?
Yeah. Canada too. Canada was doing it. Canada was getting paid. Canada was getting paid, bro. Canada wasn't paying nothing. You know, hey, did you see?
What'd you say?
I said Canada was getting paid.
Yeah.
Canada
I'm gonna tell you how American industry got messed up through that. Yeah, they weren't paying that. China wasn't paying nothing.
Nope.
And we got, the thing with NAFTA. NAFTA is the thing that messed this whole thing up in the first place.
How so?
And Trump is trying to straighten out with yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. How did NAFTA
I can hear you.
It up?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And some people so brainwashed thinking that Trump is messing the country up with the terrorists. He didn't mess this up. That was messed up for the politicians before him that ran this country. They sold this the American citizens out through NAFTA. Yeah,
they did. They definitely did. Yeah, they sold it out, man. Again, man, I don't. They don't get it, bro. They don't get it.
No, they don't. They don't.
Listen, Joyce Reed.
We benefit of the concept. Listen. We benefit off the concept America first because we American citizens. We're citizens here.
Exactly.
We don't benefit off illegal. We don't benefit off illegal immigration.
We don't.
Okay. That's why a lot of our people is out of work because of illegal immigration.
That's right. I keep telling people that.
That's why a lot of people are jobless because of illegal immigration.
Listen, I keep telling
they're only bringing them over here. They're only bringing them. They brought these illegals over here for cheap dirt labor and for their political work, for their votes. They was found out they had illegal immigrants voting in the primary when they wasn't supposed to vote. That's illegal if you're not a citizen. It's illegal to vote over here.
But if you look at the reason why Mexicans, U.S. citizen Mexicans voted against Kamala Harris and Democrats, because they came in and undercutted the blacks. So if the blacks would get,
why? Because a lot of those legal Mexicans came.
If the blacks,
they came over here legally. They didn't come over here legally. And they was like, look, if I had to go through all that stuff, why didn't they get a free ride and come over here for free?
But if the blacks were making $35 an hour, the Mexican came in and said he'll do it for 20. Well, the illegal Mexican said he'll do it for 12. Yep. So it knocked them out. They knocked us out.
Yep.
Then they got knocked out.
Yep.
That's why they voted for Trump. And people keep talking about, why don't they vote for Trump? That's why.
Yep.
They was getting $20 an hour.
Yeah, and another reason they voted for Trump.
And now they got lost their job.
Listen, another reason why they voted for Trump was, another reason why they voted for Trump, because a lot of them came over here legal. Some of them came over here legal. The ones that voted for Trump, they came over here legally. And they like, dang, if I had to go through a bunch of process, get my green card, and come, why you come over here without doing it? Why you come over here legally? That's not fair to me.
That's true, but it always comes down to money. It always comes down to the money for a man. It always comes down to our money. So at a construction site, if I'm making $35 an hour and you undercut me and get $22, and now dude comes and undercut you and he getting 12, now you saying, no, I want these motherfuckers out.
Yep. It undercuts the citizen.
Absolutely. Now it's like I want them out.
That's why before they came over here with the illegal immigration stuff, a lot of the construction strikes had a lot of our people working on there. Had a lot of citizens over there.
Big time. We was making money.
Yeah.
We was getting
because of illegal immigration. Because of illegal immigration, you don't see a lot of us working in the construction sites like we used to. No, but now that's about to change. That's changing now because what Donald Trump is doing.
Yep, that's about to change.
By deporting these illegals.
Yep.
You can't go to other countries illegally. Okay, I was in Africa. You can't go to Africa illegally. So why should they be able to come over here illegally? That's not fair.
No, you can't. You cannot go to other countries and go past your visa time. You get extended time, and after that, You get a letter saying you got to go.
Yeah, I was one day past my visa time, and me and my queen, I had to go see the people, and I had to pay some money to get it so I can get on the plane and get my thing stamped, my visa stamp.
That's crazy, bro.
Again.
That's crazy.
And this was in Africa, bro. This was in Africa.
Hey, listen, this Nigerian, I was watching Nigerian. I just so happened to stroll through it. He was saying you can't even do that in Nigeria. He said, I don't know why the Nigerian people are mad.
No, you can't. You can't do it in no African country.
Nigeria.
You can't do that in no African country.
You can't come here and stay past your visa time for 5 years. Some of these Nigerians,
that's facts.
first of all,
but a lot of
them got fake paperwork. That's number one. But number two,
they do.
ICE is gonna get all that shit. But you can't stay over in Nigeria for 5 years after your visa was expired.
I can't wait till they do their job.
After 5 years after your visa expired, you can't stay in South Korea. You can't stay nowhere like that. 5 years, 10 years. Some people get deported. They've been here 25 years. Their visa expired 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
That's insane.
That's true.
Then I came here, brought a house, had kids, got grandkids.
Yep, that's true.
That's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of them are over here illegally past their visa time, past their green card time.
Yes, they are.
But expired visas. It's a lot of people over here with expired visas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's up. Hey, man, but this is a good chop up, man. But we got to watch some evil.
And all fair is this, they should be deported. That's only fair.
Yeah, I see you. Deported. They should be deported. Simple. And there's no, and you got people like in New York fighting against ICE. How stupid is that?
Yeah.
In Chicago fighting against ICE. Why? You got stupid black liberals or Democrats.
Yeah, I can understand the mayor over there.
I'm not conservative or Democrat. I'm FBA. But you got them fighting against our own interests.
Yes.
So we had voted for Kamala Harris. We're voting against our own interests.
We're definitely fighting against our own interests. We need to vote for her.
Yeah, that's why they here. That's why millions of them are here, because of her Biden.
And she was going to really swarm this country with illegals.
Oh my God, bro. Listen,
nope.
Look, D, they not in the white neighborhoods. They were starting
they come to our neighborhoods.
They were starting to get over there. When they first come, they come to our neighborhoods.
Yeah, they did. They was starting to spring themselves over there. That's true.
Yes, they were. And that's why the white folks said, hell no. Y'all not about to bring them motherfuckers here. You see what I'm saying? They're starting to put them in the schools. No.
Yep.
Brandon Marshall.
They had one of them hypocrite Democrat politicians. That's what they did a test. They did it with one of them hypocrite politicians, Democrat Party politicians. They brought them illegals to his house, let them stay here. And he was like, no, they can't stay here. So if you don't want them to stay over your house, what makes you think you want to? We want them to come over in our neighborhood.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, we don't have the resources to be doing that. You can't. I mean, no country is going to allow you to come in their country and just swarm their country like that. You got to get vetted. You don't know what kind of diseases the people got over there. You don't know what kind of records they got over there. They could be a pedophile and coming over here.
They are pedophiles. They find it
out. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Look what the hell they doing.
Yeah, look what about when they had that COVID thing, the shutdown. They want to screen and make us take the COVID test, but you didn't screen and make them illegals take the COVID test.
Sure didn't. None of them took it. They just let them cross. Now make that make sense.
Yeah, make that make sense.
Hey, listen, like and subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe. Yeah. We're gonna pop this up real quick.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say this. Okay.
Like and subscribe.
What'd you say?
No, I'm telling them like and subscribe. We just be chopping it up, having a conversation about real stuff. You know what I mean? And
like and subscribe, people.
that's it. That's it. We'll start pulling people up too once we start building it up like we should. But what was you gonna
Yes,
say?
sir. Yeah, what I was going to say, people, be careful. If you're going to go to Africa, make sure you don't just quick to be buying land over there. I would recommend you not to buy no land. Buy land here first. Buy land in the United States.
Right.
Okay. You know, you're protected more on the law on here. Okay. You don't know those people laws over there. They got different rules. It's not the same as the States.
Right. That's right. That's right. Buy land here.
Yeah. So buy land here. If you're going to buy land, buy it here. I wouldn't recommend you to buy no land, so-called buy land in Africa. You really can't own land in Africa, especially Ghana. I can speak for Ghana.
That's real. That's real talk, bro. That's real talk for real. You know? But hey man, we chopped it up. We gonna probably do
Yes, sir.
You know, it's funny, man, that it's crazy how now it generates different cut-ups for me. You know, I hate editing and all that. It's not about do it. You know,
Okay,
podcast. This one right here, I think are we live or pre-recorded? We'll find out. All right, my brother. So tomorrow, same time, same bat station, same station. I hit you up later on. All right. Man, get
yes,
your
sir.
phone, man. Can you hear me?
Oh, man, that was blue.
Man, get
Hold
your
on, let me
phone
see something.
fixed, man, get your phone fixed, man.
Take this off. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. I'm gonna hit you up tomorrow. Peace, y'all. And whatever you do, tell the truth.